Lindsey. We've had a bunch of questions submitted, so we're going to go through these, and we're going to start with a question from Spencer. Spencer here. One named Spencer. Spencer in the front. Spencer wants to know, since most of your songs don't have lyrics, how do you decide on the titles?
That's a great question. So a lot of times when I'm writing songs, I'll go into the studio with a bit of a theme, at least, and sometimes it's very specific. Like when I wrote Shatter Me, I was like, here's the story, and I told him it's about a ballerina that is stuck in a music box. I knew it, I could see the music video, and all we had to do was write the music for it. And so, then of course, obviously Shatter Me has lyrics, so that's a bad example. But a lot of times I do have like specific stories. Like the whole Artemis album, I was telling them, this is like a battle scene, this one's like this. Sometimes it's a little more vague, and I'll be like, I just want to write about like hope today. Then later on, I'm not going to call a song Hope. So it's like, okay, well, what does this make me feel as I'm listening to it? And oh wow, it feels like I'm taking flight. Oh, take flight. So a lot of times it's like I take a concept, and then once the song is written, I really think like, what's a visual I can attach to this? So it's something that actually makes me feel. And that's how they come about.
Fascinating. That's amazing. That's a good question, because I'm wondering, yeah.
I stumped you.
You stumped me. That's a great question. Thanks, Spencer. Where's Spencer? Spencer. All right. Excellent. Let's move on. Cody Muse, are you here? Cody has a question for you. Do you think at some point you'll turn in the violin and pursue something else?
It's like
Close law degree you've always wanted to get or something, perhaps.
Close the old case and just never reopen.
I do have a lot of interest, obviously, and it's kind of funny, through the years, my hobbies have like one by one attached themselves to my craft. It always does kind of go back to the violin, though, is always the foundation of my art, but then I've added like, oh, I love costuming, like, oh, I love dancing, oh, I really enjoy video editing, oh, I like storytelling. So I've kind of taken all my loves and put them somehow like a magnet to my craft of performing and violining, whether it's aerial or all the things. However, I do love all forms of storytelling, and so I think one thing I would someday love to do is I've got several like scripts I've slowly over the years been side project like working on. And I would love to do those in a medium where actually it's not attached to the violin, and I get to be like a producer or a director, not an actress, producer, director. And to be, because I actually originally went to film school. That was where I thought my career was going to go. I thought I would be a director.
And so now I get to do that kind of on the sidelines through directing my own music videos. But I'm like, it would be really fun to just, like you said, close the case, not forever, but for a time, to be like, I'm going to step into that role and like be on the other side of storytelling.
You write these scripts, not just direct, but you want to write and direct?
Yes, co-write. Like, I'm not the best, I know my strengths, but I also, I would love to co-write with somebody.
Right, not violin. Maybe we'll look at viola for that too.
Yeah, the bigger one.
All right, this is a question from Royzen Hemphill. I said Rawson, that would have been fun. Who bought you your first violin, and who taught you how to play?
My first violin was paid for by my mother, who's over here. My parents were so gracious with really allowing me and my siblings to chase our dreams and to, help us in every possible way pursue the things that we were interested in. And I remember when I was really little, they took us to like an orchestra concert, and they also had taken us to like a community dance concert. And I was so enamored by both, and I asked to get violin lessons, and I asked also to get dance lessons. And my dad was a freelance writer. We did not have there was not excess money in our home. And so my parents, they actually took me to a dance class, and then they took me to a violin lesson. And they were like, you get to pick one. And so I picked violin, and we rented that first little violin, all my first violins up until they were like, I think she's serious. And then, they bought me my first violin. And even, I will say, when I was in college, and I made that decision of like, I'm really gonna go for this. Like, I am going to pursue being a professional violinist. my parents, even up to that point, I took basically all my savings, and then they paid for the other half of the violin that I bought. That was my first, like, nice violin. And so my parents supported me every step of the way, and you know, I couldn't have done it without parents that also just told me I could do it. I remember when I went to go audition for America's Got Talent, they reached out, they talent scouts. They found one of my little videos online, and a talent scout from America's Got Talent reached out to me and said, hey, we think you'd be a great fit for the show, like, come audition. And I called my mom, and I'm like, should I do it? Like, I have to buy a plane ticket to LA, and like, that's expensive, and I don't know. And she said, absolutely. And then I was like, will you come with me? She said, absolutely. And so I'm so grateful to my mom for being with me every step of the way. Financially, emotionally, everything. So, lady over there is the reason I'm here. I don't think I should be first.
It is so important to have supporting people in these artistic careers because it's scary. You don't know where it's going to go or what's going to happen. So it's amazing that you have that kind of support. All right, here we have a question from Natty. What can we expect in the Everest Duality Tour?
Right. My brain is so compartmentalized right now. I'm here, cruise, nothing else exists. No, but yes, in a few months we are going on tour with Hailstorm. Cool. And to tell you the truth, I am so excited to get in after this with my band boys and start to figure out what it's going to be like, because I've like dabbled in rock, you know, I've got Round 2 Rival, or on our last Duality tour we kind of did a rock arrangement of Elements, one of my old songs, like, so I've dabbled in it for sure. We've got Kashmir, but we're actually going to take all the songs that we're doing in the whole set and we're going to turn them into like rock. So I just am really excited that we're gonna get like a shredder guitar player to join us as well, who can do like basically my parts on the guitar, which is really difficult. So we can like shred together and do like third harmonies. Like, I'm so excited to just do something so different. And it's really ironic that this summer I'm also doing orchestra shows. So I'll be playing with symphonies across the country and then bouncing straight to like probably the heaviest show I've ever done.
Duality, you know?
Duality, exactly. That is the theme of the year. So I don't know, this year is like looking up to be really fun, you know, and this was just such a perfect kickoff. So hopefully we'll get to see some of you on the Everest Duality tour. Hey, who's coming? Wow, you heard enough of me?
Never! We should start the tour right now. Let's just do it here. What are we waiting for?
Do
All
it.
here.
Where's Lindsey Hale? Get her out here.
Mutiny and take over the ship and we'll keep sailing.
Absolutely.
We want the pirates on board again. All right. We have a question from Amy. What are your most memorable concerts?
Ooh, my most memorable concerts. I'm so biased. I love Paris. It is my favorite city. I love France.
I told you, Margot's from France, and I always tell them, I'm like, I don't just say this when I'm here, because you know, sometimes you stand on stage and you're like, Massachusetts is my favorite.
Sweden!
The ocean is my favorite, actually.
Sweden!
But I will say, I remember we had a show in, I think it was Lyon, on my birthday, in like...
Strasbourg.
Oh, Strasbourg, thank you. Yeah, it's here. My memory fails me. We were in Strasbourg, it was my birthday, I believe it was like my 31st birthday or something, and that show was just one of the most magical shows of my life, and I just remember they brought a big cake out for me in the middle of the show and sang happy birthday, and I was with all my you know, just all my, so many of my favorite people were there, and yeah, it's pretty magical. But honestly, though, I'm not just saying this because I'm here, like Massachusetts, but this has been such an incredible experience. I will never forget this cruise. I will never forget, you know, especially since I'm sure we're going to do it again because it's been so fun. Yeah, this was the first one, and I will never forget this. So thanks for being here and making seriously, like, you got those like top 10 moments, and I think this is adding to like my top 10 career experiences.
That is No one's ever brought me a cake on stage. I'm just
Well, gosh, you have another show. We gotta find a cake.
get a cake.
Get a cake for this man.
All right. Serenity Ellerbrook has a question. How high have you been suspended in the air while playing the violin? And what venue was that at?
You know, we had so yeah, on the Duality tour, they let me go a little bit higher every year.
That's mostly because insurance. I remember, actually, it's quite funny, the first time I wanted to go off the ground, the only way, like, I remember the insurance company was like, she can go 2 feet. I was like, 2 feet? And so we kept making it like slightly higher and higher through the tour, and my business managers, they're the ones that handle the insurance company.
They came out to the show when we hit Nashville, and they were just like, that is not 2 feet! That is not 2 feet! No one posts any videos because insurance won't cover her! So I was like, sorry, I forgot you were here. We would have gone down to 2 feet. But anyways, now it's quite higher. I think I go about 18 feet up in the air, which is quite exciting. Also, I get braver. The first tour, it was quite scary, I'm not gonna lie, especially once I started doing hoop, and you're like literally not, you know, there's no straps, there's no nothing going on. Yeah, don't fall. But I will say, we're very safe. We practice a lot in studios, close to the ground. And when me and my dancers, we don't do anything that we are not 100% comfortable with. If there's any like move or trick or transition that feels a little bit iffy, we take it out because we're like, we don't want to be nervous up there. We want to feel like overly confident. So very safe, professional, aerialist.
At least that's what you tell the insurance.
That's what I tell insurance.
Exactly. 18 feet.
Oh, there's my business manager over there. Hi, Lillian. She has to deal with all of that. I'm so sorry.
Flying without a net. Here's a question about going even higher, actually. If you had an opportunity to travel on the NASA Artemis missions, what is the one song you'd really want to play?
Well, first of all, you would never catch me dead in the Artemis in a spaceship. It's 18 feet. I don't know. For some reason, that literally does not appeal to me at all, and I think people find that odd, but I don't know. I guess I like things when I'm like, I can hold on to the hoop. I cannot drive a spaceship.
I believe you can learn to drive a spaceship. I believe in you.
I don't think so. So, if I had to go up there, I would play Artemis. Play Artemis. I'm ready for it. Run to the moon.
Never say never.
No, I'm saying never. So what happened to Katy Perry? Facing that backlash. I love Katy Perry, so everyone back off.
We like you on this planet. Yeah. We prefer you solidly on the ground.
So, no astronaut down to Earth. Question from Wally Wall. Sorry. Wallet? So Wally, sorry. Will you release an album of gaming music you played over the years?
Yes, please.
Maybe.
There's demand.
I went down the I was there.
It's been a while since I've even graced you guys and played any in concert. I apologize. I get so excited about my original songs that sometimes I forget that some of the lifeblood of like what made me who I am as an artist is those early covers, and those like really endeared like the relationship I have with you. So I will look into it. I will and I'm actually surprised I've gotten to do as much with the video game world as I have because it's a pretty strict, they're very copyright unfriendly. I'll see what I can do. I will say, if you're coming to any of the orchestral shows, I might play some.
There's a pitch for the orchestra shows right there. A reason to come? Look at that, another reason.
Which one?
Stroudsburg at the Sherman Theater.
What did I do?
Gravestone for Pierce Morgan.
Yes, Yes. We used to, when we did Moon Trance last night, it was a skeleton number. We used to have like these rolling gravestones that the dancers would move around the stage and they hide behind it. So we put funny things like jokes on the gravestones as the names, and one of the jokes was Piers Morgan.
Iconic.
Biggest gravestone.
Exactly.
Also, one of the ones that none of you know, it was my old day-to-day manager's name. Like I dearly loved, and he went on, he grew in his career and left, but we're still good friends. So I put, as a joke to him, I put his name on it.
All right. Tiffany Moore asks, who is your dream collaborator? I mean, I'm right here.
Matt Marcy.
Obviously. I will float you 19 feet in the air.
We were talking the other day, and I was like, I feel like I need to learn some more magic.
Some magic in the
I
show.
need to put more magic in the show.
Yeah.
So.
Join them tonight.
Do the floating thing.
Yeah, I want to float. I want to float. I don't want to be on a hoop.
Who needs a hoop?
Yeah, no one needs that. Way too much arm strength is needed.
Exactly.
Okay, this week's collaborator. Okay, I say this many times, but Pink is one of my favorite artists. She was actually probably the one that inspired me the most. I'd seen Cirque du Soleil and always been like enamored by it, but for some reason when I saw Pink do it, it made me feel like I could do it. Because like you're like, oh, circus, like that's another world. But I was like, well, Pink, she's an artist. I'm an artist. Anyway, she inspired me, love her. I would say another one of my favorite bands is Coldplay. That's pretty much Reach for the Stars, both of them, but they're some of my favorites.
Somebody make a song. Little pink flying around the arena. All right, question from Michelle Kaplowitz. Sorry,
That was perfect.
Thank you. Michelle and I practiced for a while. What is the process of picking out where you will go on tour?
You know, I definitely give my requests. I tell like agents, like especially for example, Mexico. I've been kind of begging my agents for a while now, being like, I see it on every post. Come to Mexico, come to Mexico. I was like, and I love Mexico, and so yes, so I've been trying to get back to Mexico, and it's a process of the agents routing the tour and then using their expertise. I'm not an expert in routing, and looking at the data and the numbers. So it's a lot of like agents being like, we think this is best, and also markets that are like, we're ready for you. The buyers in that market are wanting your show. So it's a big chessboard of things where yes, I get to make my requests, but so when people say, why do you hate Mexico? Because I hate Mexico, because sometimes I don't get full say as much as I wish. But I will say I do get a lot of say in being like, please take me out again, and that's why I tour a lot. Yeah. Come to Sweden, okay. We're coming with Lindsey. Yes. Calm
Did you
down.
just go everywhere,
Calm
please?
down.
Just everywhere.
Yeah, back off.
Mexico's got guacamole, so no one else can do that.
I know, and the street tacos.
I know. All right, Alicia Kinney has a question. What has been your favorite part about performing?
My favorite part about performing, gosh, how do you break it down? There is a feeling, and I'm sure you understand this as a performer, there is this feeling you get. It's literally like, like this high feeling of just so much love, so much energy, and it's this exchange that we feel because I'm giving you everything I've got when I'm on stage, and then you feel that you guys are giving me so much energy. So it's this beautiful exchange of energy and love and passion, and it's tangible. You can't help but feel it, and I just feel so alive. I feel like I'm the most myself when I'm on stage. It's this kind of feeling of like, this is what I was brought to this planet to do, is to be up here and to see these faces. And I will say, I'm a believer in God, and I believe that God loves us all so much in a way that we cannot even comprehend how much He cares about us and loves us. When I'm on stage and I look out at you guys, I think that's the closest I've ever gotten to understanding the way God sees people. Like, you all look so beautiful to me and just so special. Like, it actually makes me tear up. because when I look out at you, I just am like, I wish they all knew how like amazing they are. And it's truly just because I feel like I get given this gift when I get to share my gift, getting to see like really pure eyes, and I'm so grateful for that experience.
There's such an energy with live performance that you don't get when you're performing on camera or recording. I did virtual shows during COVID, alone in a room with people watching on a screen. It's just not the same. You need that power of being there with people. So
It really is.
all right, Melanie asks, how long do your videos take to shoot? Very impressive. I imagine a while.
Thank you. You know, most of them are shot within a 12-hour window.
Because that's what you can afford. That's a 12-hour day. If you go over 12 hours, you have to start paying overtime for people. And so you got to try to plan something that can be shot in 12 hours. And that also means being put up and taken down. You know. So that's usually my goal. There have been a few videos that I've done in 2-day shoots. One of which was I'm trying to remember the 2-day shoots. Honestly, they're the older videos because it's gotten more and more expensive. And so nowadays I'm like, it's gotta be 1 day. But like some of those older ones, I got the luxury of like Shatter Me was actually a 2-day shoot. Lost Girls was a 2-day shoot. But miraculously, some of the really intense ones, like Till the Light Goes Out, that was shot, we extended, we did a day and a half. So that was like I think that was a 16-hour show, which is crazy because there was, Till the Light Goes Out was the one where there was like a battle scene, and there was dance choreography, and there was like storyline, and there was like crazy special effects in it. So that's probably the most ambitious video I've ever done, and I can't believe that we shot it, you know, set it up, took it down in 16 hours. Exhausting.
I want to know what you think if you have like a week to shoot a video.
You don't even want to know.
All right. Harlan Thacker has a question. How did you get connected with the Ravens last year? He's a huge fan of both you and the team, and thought it was really amazing.
Thank you. I feel like last year was such a surprise in that I was kind of a sports girly. I got to do like multiple sporting events from, you know, the Ravens. I got to do 2 things with them, performing at their stadium. I got to perform with the Raiders football team as well as the Packers. Like, I was just like, oh, we got some Packers fans in the house. I will say, doing the Packers halftime show on Thanksgiving was so exciting. Not only because it was just really fun, and it was like the best Thanksgiving ever to be at a big football stadium, and but my drummer Drew. First thing I knew about him when I met him, you know, 13 years ago, was that he was a die-hard Packers fan. He showed up to our first rehearsal in a Packers jersey, and you know, like literally the biggest fan, and so is our dancer Annalise. So getting to go with like super fans and like practice at the stadium when it was empty, and like it was just, it made it like you're taking your child to Disney for the first time. It was that kind of a feeling, which you know, so it made it extra magical. Okay, the Ravens though, they actually reached out to me. Yeah, that was really cool. They liked their music director really liked "Eye of the Untold Her," and he's like, I want that to be our theme song for the year. And so I got to go and shoot with them. They played it on their jumbotron, you know, before most of their games. It was really, really exciting. Have I ever thought about doing a I'll ask him.
Halftime show for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll be like, Rihanna, step aside. I'm coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or maybe someday they'll want me to do the national anthem. I can reach for that fruit.
Yeah. After you go into space, you'll be, you know, you'll have all the jumbotron. All right, are Caitlin and Dylan Hartman here? Right here in the back. Okay, you're gonna love this. They're getting married in August.
Oh, congratulations!
They want you to pick out a wedding song and tell them why you would choose that song.
Oh my gosh, it's way too much pressure. I'm gonna think about that one. Not my music, right? Oh, my music! For this ceremony, you know, I have looked at my like, do I go John Legend? Do I go Ed Sheeran? I don't know. But of my songs, it depends on what vibe you want. If you're going for like wedding, I think Between Twilight is one of the prettiest songs I've ever written. But if you want to be more like emotional, you go for Hallelujah. And if you want it to be more like nostalgic and everybody knows the song, you can use the Greatest Showman medley. I've heard a lot of brides like that one for the aisle. So those would be my top. But if you want something dramatic, just go for Crystallize. You take your pick. Choose your own bride.
So you didn't help them at all. They said, what's off your pick? Which name every song, right?
Keep going. I give you categories. It's
There you go.
what category do you want to be?
Choose a song.
Sorry, groom, I didn't even ask you because it's not about you.
You're going to come play live at the wedding, I assume, right now? So, yeah, we'll have a jumbotron. Okay, that concludes our pre-written questions. We do have a chance to take some more questions from the audience. We've got Charlie here with a mic, so he will come to you.
Well, this young lady with the orange ears has had her hand up the
There
whole
you go.
time.
Tell us your name and where you're from, and then ask your question, please.
Meta.
No.
I'm from Idaho, Pocatello.
Hi.
Remember me from last year's concert? I asked you if I could play violin with you, and I wanted to play with you today.
Oh, I don't even have my violin up here.
I brought mine with my dad.
Oh, I signed your violin, right, the other day. Yes, you look different because you had a pirate hat on. And now you have ears on. But still, the head accessories are fantastic. I don't know if I'll have a chance to play violin with anyone today. They've packed my schedule pretty solid. But I am it's so nice to see you again. I'm so glad I got to sign your violin.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Select somebody.
Sir, right there in the pirate hat.
They're having a sidebar.
Yeah.
You know what's going on?
It's like, what about lunch later, huh?
Lindsey. Say, my question is, I would like you to play at my campground stay at lovely Cannon Falls, Minnesota. And tell us about your car that got you this far.
My car. Well, that car is no longer with us. But I learned to drive on a Toyota Echo stick shift. They haven't made them forever. It was an old car. But it took me all the way through college. It took me through like half my career. And then one day, right after I'd gotten it like repaired and fixed, so it was like, supposedly this was her best, it was the best she could be. She just like died to a stop on the 405 freeway. And it was absolutely terrifying. Like in like full-blown traffic, she just stopped and I'm like coasting in a stick shift. Oh my gosh, like as I'm trying to get over to the side lane. And that's when I was like, I'm done. It's time for a new car. It's time to be an adult. Get yourself a car that works. So, but yeah, that was a little Echo. And she's no longer with us.
Were you coasting downhill at the time? Which
No!
one of the paths were you on exactly?
I was luckily not uphill, but I was level on the 405, just going, and luckily we were able to like, beep, beep, like what's wrong with that lady? Beep, beep, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm actually dying.
The clown car is pulling over to the side of the road.
Yes, because it's a tiny car.
I know.
It's like a little tiny tin can.
They don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see, right here in front. Oh, hold on, we've got several in front that are just going for it. Right here.
Hi, Lindsey. Really because you the orchestra. I know you had kind of a complicated relationship with orchestras and symphonies in the early days. I think I even quoted you saying you were never the girl who wanted to play with the orchestra, you just wanted to jam on the violin.
Oops, I said that. Oh gosh.
Yeah. So,
I'll say things.
why the change?
We're gonna pretend that quote doesn't exist. I'm promoting an orchestra tour. Okay, well I will say, I feel like part of growing up is like letting go of some of the old wounds. And I remember feeling quite hurt. Years ago, I actually performed with the London Philharmonic and an artist who, hey, I'm not gonna name them today. And it was just the most humiliating experience of my life. It was at the O2 Arena in London, and to day that the orchestra actually was laughing at me, like they were. It was so humiliating in front of a sold-out arena, and I just was like, I'm never playing. And you know, there's a lot that I'm showing into that. Like these players, they play their whole lives. They can play circles around me. I can dance circles around them, but they could play circles around me. Like they are such amazing players, and I'm sure that that is hard for them to watch someone take a solo who's not nearly as accomplished as a violinist as they are. So I can see where that would be like complicated for them as well. Does that mean you have to be mean to somebody? Absolutely not. But not a second. But I will say, I remember just being so hurt and so humiliated. Like it was actually even like scary to step on any stage again after that. But time heals. You work through things. You go to therapy. And also, I'm at a place in my career where I'm very comfortable knowing that I'm not trying to outplay anybody. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I'm just going to do what I love to do. And this time I get to do it in a way where they're playing my music. I'm not pretending to be a classical violinist. To be honest, I probably shouldn't have put myself in that situation. I'm not pretending to be a classical violinist this time. I'm going and I'm doing it the way I want to do it. And I think it's going to be a really, actually probably a very healing experience to get to step back in that type of an arena and to be like, I'm not going to pretend, and I'm not going to feel bad about how I'm showing up because this is me.
I relate to that so much. The stuff you do early in your career where you're not quite ready and it goes poorly, and then you just have this weird fear of it forever, and you're finally like, I'm not there anymore.
I'm a different version
of me. It's amazing, and you're gonna kill it.
Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, yes.
So before Duality, you talked about doing the rock album, and so I'm wondering, are you currently working on this album? And if so, is it?
I'm actually not writing at the moment, and when I write an album, I have to take a while to write. Like writing burns me out more than anything else. Like I can tour for a really long time, surprisingly, and not get burnt out. I can do a lot of things and not get burnt out. But writing, my brain gets so tired. So I'm not actually feeling the draw yet to write. I kind of have to wait for myself to get there. And to be honest, I know I told you guys Duality before I did Duality that I was going to do a rock album, and I have to apologize because I really tried. I actually wrote, I believe, 40 songs. I did 40 writing sessions with rock producers, and I hated every one of them. I just was like, I don't like any of these songs. Either I just wasn't in the right place or whatnot, but that's why I finally decided to totally switch gears, and then I wrote Duality. And actually one rock song made it though, and it was Surrender. So that was the one rock song. I was like, I'm gonna pull that on there. But yeah, it was quite healing when I started actually to write Duality, because it was like, oh gosh, I can do this. You know, after writing 40 songs, 40 days of being like, wow, I hate all of this. It's quite discouraging to do that over and over again. You know, that makes me get dissonant. But who knows? Maybe I will try again. Maybe after the rock tour, after experiencing it, maybe with Lizzie Hale, you know, maybe it'll kind of wake up those rock senses that actually weren't there before. Or sleepy. Maybe, who knows? I won't promise a rock album again until I have something.
Or question, right?
Okay, let's go right here in the purple.
Hi, I'm Sarah. So I'm a marching band nerd in my former life, and I was wondering if any marching bands had ever approached you and wanted to play your songs. Some of them I feel like would be really good on the field, especially like underground. I can see that one being on the field. So I'm just curious if any band has ever done your shows or your music.
You know, I can't remember what song they did, but I remember I got sent a video where a marching band did do one of my songs years ago, and their instructor had like arranged it and everything, and I was like blown away. But I can't even remember what song it was. But I think that's like the best compliment when someone takes your art and makes it their own, whether it's someone dancing to you. Like we got to see the first day on the cruise. That was so fun, seeing all the different dance styles done to my songs. Truly the best compliment ever, you know, or in any way, like a marching band. Like, thank you for being inspired by my music. It's amazing. Okay, over here in the sunglasses.
Hi, I do a lot of sewing
Do you design on it also? Do you have a say in anything?
I sure do. I actually spend way too much time on my costumes. I design them, and I will say I do know how to sew. Sewing it takes so much time. I gotta get out of everyone's way. So I feel like I am the best at finding pretty like ordinary pieces, and then I like add on to them. For example, this is like things I like tucked and sewed together from existing dresses that I cut up, and all those costumes I design and create all my dancers' costumes as well. Like for example, the Untamed ones, or those pretty fairy ones they wore last night. I hand dyed those ombre colors myself. I rhinestone them with my mom. She comes into town before every tour, and she helps me finish rhinestoning all my costumes, which is super fun. It's a lot of work. But yeah.
That's like a bedazzler?
That's the bedazzler.
Yeah.
In men terms. In male terms, it's a bedazzler.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's actually something really special to me to do that. One, the reason I still do it myself is because I enjoy it. It's a fun little hobby that I get to lean into. And I feel like after a long day of like practicing dance rehearsals, it's like a wind down for me to go and like get to sew something while I watch a rom-com. But also my mom taught me to sew when I was like, I don't know, like tiny. She was, you know, my favorite thing to do was to make a stuffed animal. So she taught me how to sew as a kid. And so now as an adult, the fact that she'll come out and stay with me for like a week and help me finish up, whether it's sewing lace or rhinestoning, bedazzling costumes, it's just a really special thing that my mom and I get to do together. And but yeah, I love costuming. I always have. Okay, you and my mom can come out and help me.
Bedazzling party!
Yes!
All right, I think we are sadly out of time. Lindsey has to go into another event, but can you please help me in thanking the one and only Lindsey Stirling for sharing with us and bringing us out to the high seas.
Thank you guys, so lovely, and I'll be seeing you throughout the day. Enjoy this last day, okay guys? Make it the best day yet.
Good night.
And you all look amazing in your fairy outfits. I just am obsessed with the pink with the ears. Yeah, that is so fun. So fun. I love you guys too. Yes, I need to come back to Tel Aviv. I have to. Oh, I loved Tel Aviv. I need to come back.